We are running live. Thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in. This is market analysis for Wednesday, October 30th. Isn't this an eve of something? I mean, Reformation Day is tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
There's something, I think there's an eve. Oh, yeah, All Saints Eve. That's what it is today.
Yes, and it's Halloween tomorrow.
Oh, there's that too. That's right.
Halloween, the
Uh,
publicized one,
yes, that's right. The
money making
commercial one.
one.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's go for it. I'm going to go ahead and get there we are. Look at how beautiful that is. Oh, the green gets blotted out there. Let's go and grab, oh, I thought I had that open. That was before I reset my computer. Here we go. Market analysis. Yes. Oh yeah, I was talking about assets. I think it was Woo, but we'll get to it. Or no, actually it was ARK. It was ARK.
Oh,
So
you were
ARK,
talking about Woo earlier, but
yeah. So
that is
I'll
dark.
move over a little bit here and we'll talk about ARK real quick. So as you can see, this diagonal line, right? That is the trend line. Now, when that trend line gets butted up against, we call it resistance. Here, when it dipped down, this position here, starting here, at this level, we could start to see the founders reaccumulate at these price points. Well, this point right here, that's where they were also accumulating here and here. So then you just look at the addresses and you can see it right on chain. So as it comes back down, we see the founders coming back in right here, right there, making a little bit here, and then dropping down, selling to people. And then when it comes down to this point, they buy again, and they just here and here. Primarily, though, they started selling here. And then price dipped back down like we've been talking about over the last 2-3 weeks. And then major injections of capital being put in here. And then sure enough, yesterday, huge movement, and today already, huge bullish movement. So we are at the bottom here. And this is really, really exciting to see just how much more accumulation has occurred. The amount of volume that is coming in is just great, 30% in the last 48 hours. So that's really encouraging. But then I also saw this article. Let me see if I can find it. It might be in this one here. Let's bring this down here so that I don't get too much displayed. Okay, so nope, I don't. Oh, here we go. No, I'm not seeing it offhand. I thought I had it saved here, but yeah, it is the big companies. The big companies like the big BlackRocks and Vanguards, JP Morgan, all of them, they all did a huge they all did a huge transaction on Bitcoin, Bitcoin Tether. So what that is that there's a coin that they made to specifically trade within. Let's go back to the chart. Here we go. There's a coin that they made specifically to trade within the digital exchanges that would be pegged to the US dollar. So when we are looking at, say, for instance, Ethereum USDT, it's not actually the US dollar that we're trading with. It's just a tether. So it's basically saying the dollar is this. And that coin is algorithmically matched to the value of the dollar. So it's 1 for 1 all the time. And this allows people to see right away within their exchanges what the value of their digital assets are, because it's valued and even traded within those exchanges directly for US dollar tether, digital coin. Well, when we are measuring Ethereum, we're actually measuring Ethereum against tether, not the US dollar. Now, tether has the same value as the US dollar. So that's why it's nice for people who are trading at higher frequencies. They don't have to take it out of cryptos and put it into fiat. They can use that specific coin, the tether coin, as a means to see how much the value of something is worth without having to change it back into US dollars, or rather to realize it in US dollars. So that Bitcoin tether, there was a wallet that was opened yesterday and purchased almost $1 billion in one transaction. And that wallet has allocations, and 43% of that allocation was to BlackRock's share, and that is providing liquidity for ETFs. So they're going to be trading paper contracts on Bitcoin, and they started that out with they started that particular wallet out with almost $1 billion. So we're at the very bottom of a big movement. I think that between now and election, we might see a little bit of chop where it comes up and comes back down as accumulation occurs. But then I think right after election, it'll be things will go in one direction. And of course, my bias is up only because we're here. Like, this is the time that we've been waiting for many, many years, and it's very exciting to see. So let's check out the markets here. Things are red today, this morning. But I kind of figured this is what we would be seeing. Some chop here in the days leading up to the election, especially as, you know, Trump has clearly indicated that if he's elected, we'll be able to use Bitcoin. Of course, any country can do that without a specific being sitting in a throne. But, you know, people go along with it. And so people go along with it. We trade on emotion. And so what we do, instead of trading on emotion, we preemptively trade on others' emotions. And that's what makes us money. So people are very emotional right now. Their economies are in the tank. Their dollars are inflating. And if you don't think the dollar's inflating, that's okay. I know I've talked to people who think that the dollar's secure, everything's fine. And it's like, yeah, okay. You just go ahead and believe that while you're in America. You know, they live in a completely different world than the rest of the world. And the rest of the world all has abandoned the US dollar. Abandoned. All of the major treasury holders are not holding US treasuries anymore. There's virtually no liquidity left at all in America. So the only reason why a lot of people don't experience inflation to the degree that we see it elsewhere in the world is because in America, what they've done, the military complex, the massive military complex, their defense budgets allocated money specifically for the crippling of the economies that they invaded. So for instance, Iraq is the most recent and most obvious example, where after the US invaded, and by the way, it was unlawful, found to be a war crime, but nobody's ever done anything about it because they're America. So America back in Iraq, after they invaded, they actually devalued the Iraqi dinar by over, let's talk about this for a second. Let's just get rid of the other screen there so I can talk to you center. The Iraqi dinar was actually devalued by over 1,000 times. They brought it from, at one point, it was one Iraqi dinar was worth about $3.50 US. And then after the US came in, they crippled the economy and devalued the currency so much that it actually got to the point where you needed 1,000 dinar to buy one US dollar. And the reason why America does that is to hide their inflation. They basically export their poor economy and their inflating dollar. They export that buildup of energy, that buildup of monetary. They build up that inflationary policy into other nations and export their nation's problems onto those nations that they are invading. It's incredible. It's brilliant. Quite smart, actually. If your country is having a very difficult time maintaining the value of its currency, all you need to do is create more demand for the currency. So then you go to war, destroy another nation, and you export your inflation problem onto that country. It's beautiful. It's a wonderful business model, makes tons of money. In fact, for over 100 years, the United States was it was arguably the largest cash cow in that business model. Possibly even like nobody else has ever done it, because the reason why is that if someone else were to do it, they would be invaded by the US. Because that's exactly what happened many times. It's hilarious. It's hilarious to watch people talk about how good the US dollar is. There was a conversation that occurred, I don't know, maybe about 2-3 months ago in the crypto sphere, where this guy was just talking about how awesome his cryptocurrency was because it was pegged to the US dollar. And I'm like, and so then when the US dollar crashes, what happens to your currency? And he looked at me and he's like, the US dollar is not going to crash. I live in California. And I see the warships out on the coast all the time. The US dollar's not going anywhere. Yeah, well, we'll see what happens here over the next little while, especially since it's now been, 2 years since the oil contracts have been up, and ever since then, the United States has been relying on their $1 trillion a month in printing in order to maintain the charade that they have an economy. I mean, they have an economy, but being attached to the US dollar makes their economy, doesn't make it worth less than what it was before, but it certainly makes it where you have to work harder to make the same amount of purchasing power with the US dollar. That's what it boils down to. So they are simply not able to export their inflation anymore, and they are now going to be experiencing it at that rapid rate. Of course, not to be without a plan, the government is very much talking about going to Bitcoin. Microsoft even had a meeting this week. The board of directors advised the shareholders that they didn't want to use Bitcoin within their investment as part of their investment portfolio. And they were telling people, hey, we advise against this. So it's now big talks about Bitcoin right now. And we know that as a result of this influx of volume that's coming in, that first spike is probably going to take us to $100,000 on the Bitcoin. Yeah, so that's what I wanted to chat about before we get going. Let's go ahead and actually look at charts and do the analysis that we need. So let's start with silver. This is silver. Of course, with precious metals, as those prices go up, it is an indicator that there is lack of faith in fiat. And we've been having steady rises here over the last little while. Nice little retracement that we talked about yesterday. And then today, another test of that level, which is great to see. Again, I like it when I see retests come down and test areas that used to provide resistance. So we are now, right now, above this line here. And this is, yeah, 32. Oh, wait a minute. Yeah, that's right. 32.59, 32.60. That line there used to provide resistance. And so I would like to see the price actually retest that line before I say, yeah, okay, now we've got a nice, good reaccumulation at that price point and we can move up and have the support necessary just to sustain a nice long movement towards that all-time high. And we're getting close. That all-time high is not far. 35.26 is what I have marked here anyway. Yeah, let's just double check that because I thought it was that. Yep, there it is. A little bit high. There we go. So we are just about there. Yep, 35.25. And right now we're sitting at 33.75. So just a little bit more to go on silver. But again, like I say, I would like to see another retest of these previous highs down here. And that might be just happening today. Who knows? Nice bearish candle headed that way right now anyway. On to gold. I'm going to be using... What's that, sorry?
Would you please move over slightly?
Oh, yeah.
See my numbers?
You
Thanks.
betcha. You betcha. All right, so now looking at gold, look at that. We, all day yesterday, we're just pushing that all-time high to new heights. We now have an all-time high of 2789.90. That is incredible. That's awesome. Now at this point, because of how much of an impulse we've seen, it would be wonderful to see a retest of this previous high made on October 23rd. It'd be great if it came back down to that 2756 level. To even 2755 would be, or 2750 would be awesome. If it got down there, I'd be surprised, but it would be nice just to see that retest. Make sure that we've got the support necessary for the next level. I think that probably within the next 3 to 6 months, gold being at $4,000, $5,000 is not going to be out of the question. So if you would like to have a nice hedge against inflation, this is definitely where you want to start looking for entry points. At this point, if you don't catch a retracement, don't hesitate. If you want gold, just go ahead and buy it. And if you want to wait until it has a nice retracement, definitely look for the retracement to the 27.5 level. That's just my advisement. That's what I would do, as I would wait for the retracement just to maximize that asset as much as possible. If you don't, it's not wrong. You're just not going to make quite as much money. You might miss, another 2 or 3%. S&P 500. I'm using 4-hour charts now just so we can see a little bit more detail. Here's the 4-hour chart on the S&P 500. Still not able to come back to that high, that all-time high that we formed. It's going to be interesting to see. For as many times as we're watching the wicks go up, we're seeing the wicks stretch down a lot more. So that tells us that the bears have a lot of optimism, which means that we will likely, when this occurs, move down very quickly. And whenever I see this type of thing, I think to myself, oh, look at that. They couldn't have the bears take over, so they did whatever they had to do, pull some more money out of thin air, grab some more printed money, and just manipulate that price to come back up. Bears get a little bit antsy here, and then they push back up. The bulls, fake bulls, even try to take over there, and then drives back down in a very, very short period of time, 4 hours. So these types of movements we're going to see more and more as we move on. If we go back years, it didn't really make these kinds of movements. Back when I was trading in 2017 through 2020, these kinds of candles didn't happen very often. There was a lot more consistency. So this is a good indication that there's a lot of I want to say insecurity. I want to say instability, insecurity in the market sentiment right now. and they're wanting it to go down. US 30, similar type of movements, big long ones in 4-hour bars. And those are usually, I think, yeah, those are usually those opening hours. Oh, and then this is where the what is it? Japanese markets? Yeah, the Japan markets open, the Asian markets open during this time. Yes, indeed. Yeah. Okay. So this retracement after that all-time high on the Dow Jones, this retracement is nice and deep into this pivot zone here. It will likely provide some support here and move up if we are not crashing here right away. If it does crash, I'm actually now of the mind, I thought that we might see a little bit more downturn through the fall here, but now it seems like it's probably going to maintain itself fairly well until after the election. They got to have somebody to blame for when this goes down. And I figured that they would have used Kamala for that. But apparently they're going to use Trump. NASDAQ here forming, yeah, that looks like new, no, not quite all-time high. It is, it's inching its way up though, very, very well. This low here, this was a deep retracement. This is actually pretty deep compared to, you know what, that's not bad. It's just retesting. It was just retesting some of these levels here. That's okay. Similar sentiment that I have with US 30 and the S&P 500. The NASDAQ is looking like it's not wanting to go up very much. When it goes up, it comes up in increments. When it goes down pretty hard and has to work hard to come back. So yeah, we'll see how this progresses. Trend is up though. So yeah, you know, highs are getting higher, lows are getting higher. We've got a trend line there as well. So when it comes down to it, it may continue on for a few more weeks. Again, especially as election comes closer. I don't think that they're going to want to see things be complicated by, yeah, they don't want to complicate things right now. They want to wait until after the drama. So next we've got the Japanese markets, which pushed very well yesterday, heading up this high here. It's encouraging to see, however, you know, when we take a look at that bigger picture, we couldn't hold it here. And so this is still providing quite a bit of resistance for the Japanese markets. That all-time high, I don't think they'll ever get back. I don't think we'll ever see that price again. And in fact, when it drops down and goes below this 30,000 level, I don't think we'll ever see that again either. Yeah. NPC. Oh, that was another thing too. I saw big wallets. Like there was one wallet, $27 million came in to this asset while we were here. Now that's saying a lot. Normally speaking, the whales back their trucks up and load up whenever it's at a low price. But we are actually hanging out at the all-time high, and $27 million came into this asset in this last little bit, like I think 3-4 days or so. Just one wallet, one buyer. So we're at the bottom, guys. This is great. It's only up from here type thing. Again, not financial advice. Don't take that as financial advice. That's simply my, what is it? What is this? 7 years of market analysis that I'm watching things. I'm just like, how is it not screaming up already? Bonk. Oh, Sundog, that dip down there. Great spot for another recumulation. I will, yeah, definitely. I have the ability to add some more here, so I'll be doing that later today. Bonk, same idea as before, which is just it's hovering right now, almost creating a little trend channel within this larger time frame, this massive trend lines here. It's like almost like there's another one forming inside. I'm gonna go to the 15-minute chart and you can kind of see where that's taking place. Hopefully, there we go. Yep, So you can see here, we've got this mini trend line occurring here. And then we have it rising from this location here. Yep. So a little mini wedge inside the wedge happening right now. And yeah, we'll see where it goes next. But again, lots of accumulation happening. I haven't looked at this one nearly as well. Bonk, it's just another meme. I only put in $100 when I did this one, and just as a fun test. But you know, as the money comes in, what's going to happen is that the general public are going to be onboarded. They're going to be officially onboarded into Bitcoin. And when they get onboarded into Bitcoin, wherever they go, wherever they are, as you know, exchanging their fiat for Bitcoin, there will be ads. That's where we're seeing these exchanges make some money, is by posting up ads and getting paid for clicks. Well, those ads are going to be onboarding people from Bitcoin into these other chains, you know, Ethereum, Polygon, Doge, XRP, all of these different chains are going to be like, hey guys, now that you're used to Bitcoin, try out ours. And that process that people took to get their Bitcoin wallet, move all that stuff, is going to be the first step of their education coming into the new financial system, where now they have the options of all these other coins. So once we see this onboarding occur, likely shortly after the election, we're going to see that first wave of people coming in. And then probably again around Christmas time, see a whole bunch more come in again. These waves are going to progressively be adding more and more volume to those main chains like Bitcoin and Ethereum especially. Well, as those coins get purchased, those people are going to automatically be introduced to other assets, and those assets will also get a rise. And the amount that they'll rise will be of a greater degree than what the growth that we'll see in Bitcoin. Like Bitcoin from 70,000 to 100,000, you know, that's not it's more than 30%. It's like what, 40%? That is only representative of everybody coming in from, you know, the billions upon billions of dollars. I think it's actually, if I'm not mistaken, it's getting close to 1.3 trillion, if I remember correctly, of money that's being held in Bitcoin. Well, that money, when it comes into these other coins, is going to have a greater effect on the price of those other coins. So things like Bonk, this stupid meme, is going to go up simply because of how much spillover from the Bitcoin these other chains are receiving automatically. So that's what that's the great currency. It's the the global currency reset, folks. Woo is definitely showing strength after reaching those lows last week. You know, again, those lows were not lower than the previous lows, so very, very good looking chart here, following this channel very well. Likely to see some resistance here at the 25-cent mark, another pullback to possibly retest this pivot zone here. This pivot zone, let's get it so that it's over here. Yep, there we go. So this pivot zone here is likely to be a place where we come back in. I've got the two positions all ready to go. They're both in profit. Super happy about, or no, wait a minute. This one isn't yet. Very, very close. So the second trade that I took on October 19th, that one hasn't come back. That hasn't come back into profit yet, but that's okay. I'm not even slightly concerned. All-time high being way up here. This is 88 cents. That makes it a nice 4x from here. So watching that one very nicely. ARK also had a nice big jump yesterday after we did market analysis. In fact, yeah, it was shortly after we did market analysis, things really took off. Let's check out the 4-hour chart here. Yep, at 10 a.m. yesterday is when things just took off for ARK. And we are now coming into, we're now coming into this pivot zone here. So we may see some resistance, maybe even a little bit of pullback. Yeah, there's that line. That's the That purple line is getting big. Oh, it's because I'm on the 4-hour chart. So let's just move it over a little bit like this. There we go. So this pivot zone here is now where we're up. So we came from below, coming into this pivot zone. We can expect some resistance. We might even see another test. It might even come down and retest this long trend line here. Again, I think that we're going to see these types of assets really take off and explode once that onboarding with the main chains comes into effect. ARK is in great position though. Just looks gorgeous. What a beautiful chart. You almost can't get a more picture perfect chart when it comes to a technical analysis. It's great. Tau, look at that. Coming back down from reaching that upper pivot zone to retest the lower pivot zone. And again, if it comes down into here, this will be under that $500 mark. Yeah, if it comes under $500, I'm going to grab a little bit. Just because that's a good position, especially with this being expected to overtake and exceed Ethereum and Ethereum is expected to be $5,000. So if BitTensor is expected to be higher than Ethereum, who knows, 5,500, 6,000, who knows? But from here, even 5,000 would be nice. Well, that would be 8 times. Yeah. Injective token. Yeah, yesterday it came out of that. It came back into this little pendant here. It'll likely wobble back and forth in this for the next little while. Might come back to retest these levels here, but we're already inside that pivot zone. And so for how deep we are into the pivot zone, I think it will likely use the bottom of that pivot zone as support to find its way up. And likely the next target the next target is likely going to be that $28 level. It might show some resistance at 24 like it did in the past, but I know that the injection of it's called the injective token. Get it? It's the injection of liquidity that's going to be coming in is going to really push this, and I think it'll zip past this $24 level pretty quickly and hit up the 28. Next, we've got Desync. Oh yeah, 2 days of good movement here today. Lots of volume, lots of activity, and definitely we made a big jump. Made actually our highest point since our last purchase on October 10th. It reached the highest point since that time with a spread of that went up. It's right now up 28% from the purchase that we made on the 10th. The one that was made in September is also up from there as well. And then the one that I made from June, I think is still down from that one. No, we are basically right on top of it. There it is. So we're basically right on top of the price point that we started at in June. So between the first one and then the 2 subsequent trades that I entered with, where I added more volume, even though the price has not gone above where my original purchase began, yeah, it's a little bit below, not much. I have made good money so far, and I'm not even done, not even close to done. I have it marked here at the all-time high, but I will not be selling anything at this point here, simply because of how large this project is and the long-term benefits of staying in longer. I would expect this to reach $1 within the next 3 months likely, and that is probably where I'm going to start reallocating some of the assets. And certainly will be reevaluating my position and see whether or not it goes higher. If it looks like it's going to still go higher, then I'll stay in, but I'll likely start diversifying at that point with that asset. 0x0, oh, another great chart, also showing great signs of accumulation by its founders at this level. Right now it's sitting at 11 cents. My first target where I'll be reevaluating is at the 53-cent level, 54-cent level, and then again at the dollar level. Between those two positions, I'll be able to, once it goes above, so 0 by 0, once it goes above the all-time high, I'll be watching for a selling point where I see some large movements, like large positions being placed to sell. That's when I'll go in and start selling, so that I can find and reaccumulate back when it retraces back to test that all-time high price at 54 cents. So, 75, 90 cents coming back down to 50 cents would be a great reaccumulation. I would be super happy about that. 3 Protocol. This asset here, I still don't officially have a position on this one, but you can see it's deep inside this little consolidation zone, and it looks like it might even retest. At this point, it does look like it's going to retest the trend line. Great little asset. I like the project. I'm just over leveraged right now, and but with a nice big dip, that makes it attractive. Makes it very attractive. The link coming up from below its trend line there after a deep test of these levels. This provided some support from quite a while ago, actually. That support really came into effect back in April, and so it's retested that support from April and gave us a good impulse coming into this pivot zone. And if we can get it to show some support, maybe off of this trend line, or if it sneaks above this pivot zone and retests the top of it, that will be the support that we need for it to make its run up to that 19-cent mark. DEAI, just about forming a new all-time high today. We'll see how things progress. But there you have it. There it is, button up against that all-time high, giving it a good test, run for its money, so to speak. And this one here, I'm not invested in this one yet. This one here, I would want to see a nice pop up over this all-time high and a retest. That's what I would want to see before I come in. I want to see those types of movements, just because this one's a newer chart. However, if it comes down and retests anything down here, that would be good as well, because right now it's at 61 cents and expected to be $1 very soon. FAR, of course, this one here, I'm just so excited for this one as it continues to dribble like a basketball, making smaller and smaller price action movements at this bottom price range. At right now we're at 0.7 of 1 cent, and with an all-time high of 21 cents, 22 cents actually. Is that right? Let's see. What is that high? 21.8. And the other one is 21.7. Yeah, so 21.8 is the high on this price, so just about 22 cents, which, in terms of this 21.8, there it is. 21.8 would give us a 2,300% return off of the position that I took on October 8th. Right now, the price is even lower. So if you wanted to make more money than me, this would be a great opportunity for you to buy some FAR and ride that up, because you, instead of getting 24%, you'd actually get 2,700%. So you would extra put in $1,000 and you'll have 27,000 when it reaches here. That's pretty good. I'm excited for that one. Tron, this consistently moving chart. It's beautiful. Just how beautiful this. I don't think I know of another digital asset that has this kind of consistency. It's fascinating. Great. Awesome. I would like to see a test here, some volatility. Come back down here and retest this line. That'd be awesome. As we head up towards, again, I think this will go to $1 as well. Easily, I should say, probably even $2 through 2025. This one here is, I would like to see a retracement come back, test the 14-cent level, because that's where I would like to come in. maybe even, yeah, 15 cents would even be enough for me, because this pivot zone here is where it was providing some support for this last little run. This pivot zone here is on the high end of 14.9 cents. Solana showing consistent strength here over the last couple of weeks. It's good to see. And as we're pushing up towards this high at 180, or this pivot point here at 185, we are seeing some resistance already. So be mindful of that. The retracement would be nice to see the retrace. We did see a retracement here already. You can see if I zoom in, let's go to the 4-hour chart so you can see this. So this push up here had a nice retracement coming down to the bottom at 160. This forming this low at 160 gave it some nice strength going up above. I would like to see one more clean test coming down, and that's just because the daily chart, I feel like this was a little bit of a abrupt retracement. I would like to see some progressional, just because it makes it look, to me, it looks like it has more support at that price level. This seems weak support to me. I could be wrong. I could be wrong. It could be my own bias against Solana coming into play there. But yeah, sitting at 176 right now. This 185 is going to provide some resistance. And then going up to the all-time high, we can expect another point of resistance at that $200 mark. This is expected to be at $500 though within this next run. So it'll move up pretty fast, 2.5 times from where we are right now. XRP, not even able to get back up over top of this lower trend line. If you're holding on to this, don't be discouraged. Again, it's done that in the past, and even done deeper retracements below that trend line quite a few times. So don't be discouraged if you're in this. I would still definitely ride this to the top side of this of the trend, just to catch some of that movement. This is, we've talked about this before. This is 30% growth here, and that can happen in a matter of days. And that would be nice, make a quick sale, come back in after it retraces back down to test the lower trend line or even this pivot zone, and you can accumulate 19%, 20% more than you did on the first run. So every time you do that, you're compounding the compound interest on your trades. Modic, Polygon, had that same dip on the same day that we saw the dip on like Sundog and ARK and a lot of these other assets. Deep retracement, retesting this support line at 31 cents, 32 cents. And, since that time, it's actually, it is now above 33.48 cents. Hopefully this is finding support right now. That's my sentiment on this, is that we've found support because of the support that it had on in June of 2022. This all-time high here is $3. I think, is it 3? At 292 is the all-time high. So between here and where there is, that's a pretty nice growth. In fact, from here to the all-time high is a 770% increase. You'd be making, again, on this asset, you'd be making more money than me, because I came in at 37 cents. So coming in at 33 makes you more money than me. ADA. Let's go into the 4-hour chart here and get some more detail. Look at this. Beautiful. So this is a position that I took back then. I don't really know why I even plotted this, because I'm trading back and forth on Cardano quite a bit. So we can see here this nice test of the lower end of this range. This test here provided some great support where it is able to hit the top of that range in good order. It is now looking like it's it's retracing right now. I'm hoping that, I would say that this line here at 34 cents would likely be where it's looking for support next, just based on how much that price point has provided resistance and support in the past. And we can likely see the next push actually test out the long-term trend line that has been formed here. I mean, that's been following that for quite some time, since April. And so that would be the next thing. If we get over top of that line, then it will be fairly clear sailing. A few resistance points along the way to the 24 all-time high, but then going beyond that, finding the all-time high at $3.10 US is not going to be difficult, because, well, this particular asset is being used even by nation states that are wanting to, recognizing their responsibility as governments to ensure that their citizens have access to, that they are educated on how to protect their wealth. They recognize, a lot of these nations are recognizing the influx of globalism that has really stretched its arm across the world over the last 10 years. They recognize that poses a risk to their citizenry, and as a result, it's imperative that people look for ways to safeguard their wealth, to safeguard their assets, especially as they are looking to rebuild a business after the decimation of the economy. Or like in Canada, so many businesses were closed. We need to revitalize that lifeblood of the economy, the local merchants, the small business owners, the entrepreneurs, and nations. A lot of nations, I think there's like 50 of them. Argentina is one of them. Brazil is also looking at it. And there are a bunch of European countries that are also looking at helping people establish their own constitutions, even, which would pose a risk to the government that's actually encouraging their nations to do it. But the governments are wanting this because they know that if they don't provide this level of support, this level of integrity, shall we say, to the reason why they are instituted to act as a safeguard against their citizens' exploitation. That's their job. That's why they're placed. And so their incentive to help their citizenry is actually quite high, because they don't want to be voted out. This is a whole new world, and we've been watching it. In North America, we kind of live in our own little bubble where the media really focuses a lot on the media really focuses a lot on the North American markets. And so we're kind of in our own little bubble as to what happens. We hear about what happens, when Janet Yellen says something, or when Jerome Powell says something. We're like, oh, I say we, in the trading world, people are very interested in what those mouthpieces have to say, and they don't pay attention to what mouthpieces like Putin have to say. And it's it was months ago that Putin said that, hey, everybody who is experiencing tyranny, and you could tell with the undertones that he was referencing, situations like what happened in Canada, where people's bank accounts were frozen because they donated to the Freedom Convoy. Those kinds of things are acts of tyranny. And Putin said, hey, look, if you're experiencing tyranny in your country, you can be rest assured that Russia can act as a capital in international banking law to help you safeguard your assets and your wealth. So when we have world leaders like that are recognizing the direction that the world is going, and making sure that people are equipped to withstand and even resist tyranny in their homeland, that's pretty powerful. That he's willing to go to bat for you in international banking law to make sure that there's an option for people. Again, I am not for Putin, but I certainly am for a means by which people may secure their wealth. And if if Russia being a capital for finance in this new, and these are exact words that Putin used, polycentric and multinodal world. And that simply means decentralized. We're going into a decentralized world. The fact that he wants to see Russia become that capital where people can gain remedy from when their nation states are exploiting their wealth, that says a lot. That says a lot. And the reason I like to talk about Cardano is just because of how much more advanced that chain is in helping people have that level of governance over their assets, yet still be able to interact within their nation. You know, for instance, having identifiers for driver's licenses and so on and so forth. To restructure that and to make it where it's now being more self-governed instead of federally governed or provincially governed. These are the types of results that we can expect as we head into this polycentric multinodal world. That's the nature of things. We most naturally gravitate towards more self-governance, more self-responsibility. We naturally want to see society incentivize integrity. That's our natural state. War is actually, and all the strife and all that stuff, that is not our natural state. It's a natural reaction to, you know, especially if there's an assault being made against you, it's perfectly natural to react with violence, but it's not our natural state. And so as a result of this, you know, this increasing tension that's going around the world, more and more people are looking for solace. More and more people are looking for that natural state. And we're going to see the coercion and the duress that is imposed upon people through the banking system that exploits people through usury. It's going to end up becoming irrelevant. And I think that's happening. We're watching that unfold here over the next couple of years. It's going to be a rough ride. It's going to be lots of work for us to do, especially in terms of rebuilding our economies. But you know, we've got a good position. We really do. The rest of the world doesn't. But we who are actively looking for these opportunities that are foreign and private, it allows us to shelter ourselves from the inflation that Canada will be occurring, that will be occurring within Canada, and many of the nations that use fiat currencies. So, yeah, that's market analysis for today, Wednesday 30th. If you have any questions, feel free to post them in comments, or you can also direct message me. I stream live to both X and YouTube every morning at 7:15. Would love for you to give me a follow, and would love to see you. And if you would like to join the actual meeting room here, where we can chat back and forth live instead of just by text with comments, again, send me a direct message or maybe comment below this, and I'll see your comment or your message, and I'll give you the link so that you can join. We can chat live during these market analyses. So thank you. Thank you, everybody. Have a good day.